What is going on YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We just had, as always, a very quick turnaround between Supercross and the outdoors. Only a quick 2 weeks, and then they're right back at it. So not much of an off season between Supercross and Motocross, but there is one weekend off in between the two series. If you haven't been living under a rock, or maybe you just have a life and haven't been watching my YouTube, you would know I was out at Glen Helen last weekend for a $100,000 pro payout over 2 days of racing. Then on the East Coast, up in Pennsylvania, Jeff Cernick at Pleasure Valley Raceway had an awesome pro purse, upwards of almost $30,000. Jeff does a great job every year, multiple times a year, at giving back to the pro riders and helping them make a living because he knows how tough it is. He crowdfunds, he raises money, and he does a great job giving back to the racers. And then last but not least, there was a race in Reno called the Stadium GP. Super local setup, looks like a rubber band start and everything, but there was a lot of money on the line, $20,000, and we saw some people rake it in at all three of these races. They were awesome opportunities to make some extra money, to pad the bank accounts, and for the privateers, maybe invest in their own program for the summer, because going racing professionally is not cheap. We all know that we want the guys to be able to make more money, but racing on the big stage costs a lot. It gives you the opportunity to jumpstart your career. But if you're not cutting the mustard, you are not making much money. And some of these money races are a really good opportunity for these guys to make hay while the sun shines. And these money races are not all that rare. There are a lot of them around the country. Even the guy out front in that clip I just showed, Michael Hicks, besides Arena Crash, he is pretty much a money race bounty hunter, and he does very well with it. So in this video, we're going to break down just how much all these guys made at all three of these races, Glen Helen, Reno, and Pleasure Valley. And then I'm going to get about as transparent as I could possibly get with you all, and I'm going to share with you how my YouTube videos performed in the financial department on my West Coast trip, how much I made, and how much it would have compared to how much I think I could have made with my potential on a dirt bike if I had raced, and whether I'm on the right path, going the content route, or maybe I should gear back up and get back to racing. But I don't know that I've ever heard any content creators or anybody on social media actually disclose how much they've made on social media or anything like that, so I figured it could be some interesting info. And also, I'm out here talking about how much everybody else is making, so I might as well, in the spirit of full disclosure, include myself. No choice. But yeah, tons of money up for grabs in various regions of the country last weekend. And real quick, I'll give you an overview of how all the payout breakdowns worked at each race, and then we'll go ahead and get into the good stuff, and we'll go over how much each of these individual riders actually made, and then I'll go over my earnings video by video, and then I'll add up the total, and then I'll stack myself up against the racers, and then we'll decide if I'm doing the right thing or if I need to suit and boot. First off, the Pleasure Valley payout up in Pennsylvania. Like I said, Jeff Cernick does a great job raising money for these pro races so he can give back to these privateers and the local pros. I subtracted the women's payout of $4,500 from this because I'm kind of just doing pro earnings in this one, but also very cool that he pays out for the women. But for this race, the majority of the payout goes to the 450 Pro-Am, a little over $22,000. Then the 250 Pro-Am gets a little less than $4,500, and they even have hole shot awards for both classes. And if you check out the breakdown by class, if you sweep the 250 Pro-Am, it's $1,000, $500 per moto, and then $375, $250, $200, $150, and then $100 from 6th to 10th, $75 for 11th, and then only $50 down to 15th. And it's not like that's a bad payout, but compared to this 450 payout, the earning potential is not super high because in the 450 class, $3,500 per moto win, then $2,000, $1,750, $1,250, $750. And I could go on, but the further back you get, the less money it is per position. And if you're back to the 11th spot, anywhere from 11th to 15th pays the same. Then you had the Reno Stadium GP, 2 nights of pro racing, $20,000 plus 100% payback. And the thing about these races and the big payouts is that they're very top heavy because we all know it's the fastest to get paid and it's the fastest to get laid. But for Stadium GP, it was $5,000 for the win, then $2,500, $1,250, $750, $500, and then it went down in much smaller increments. And the amount of entries decided how many riders got paid on the night, but I didn't quite go that deep into the results for that to matter for this video. And then finally, the big one out at Glen Helen, $30,000 on a Thursday for the Stopwatch National, $10,000 to win, then $5,000, $3,000. You can check out the screen and do the rest. There's a lot of numbers that are very large on there. And then for Saturday's racing, 2 classes, 250 and 450 Pro, $35,000 total payout for each, another $10,000 for each winner of those classes. And for the Saturday payout with the extra $5,000, it actually paid out a little bit more, even deeper into the field, so a lot of people left with some gas money and some entry fee money for pro motocross. And hell, they even had $400 hole shot awards sponsored by ASV. Now we'll go ahead and get into the good stuff. We'll get into the rider numbers on how much these guys made over the weekend of money racing, starting with the biggest payout at Glen Helen for MotoFest. The big winner at this one was Colt Nichols. The dude went undefeated on the weekend. He even got 4 hole shot awards, and that got him a total of $21,600 for a massive off-season payday. I think he may have even said that was almost more than he made in purse money throughout the entire Supercross season. Then we had Dylan Schwartz with a 5th at the Stopwatch National, and then a 1st in 250 Pro on Saturday, and the $10,000 that came with that got him $11,500. Parker Ross, 2 hole shot awards and a 2nd place on Saturday, and a little bit further buried in the pack at the stopwatch race had him at $6,200. Enzo Temmerman seriously turned some heads as an amateur, ran with Colt Nichols at the Stopwatch National, got himself a 3rd overall and $3,000, and then the kid did 4 30-minute motos on Saturday, raced both classes, and actually had a pretty rough day. Bad first motos in both classes hurt his overall finishes, but the kid still walked away with $5,300, and that's $300 more than 2 Juice Bilmer, who apparently was not cut in on Tom Vial's championship bonus. Even after providing assistance, he and Derek Drake, who had a crash at the stopwatch race but a 2nd place on Saturday, both made $5,000. And you guys can see the numbers. I don't want to go through and say every single person's name, but it was very cool to see all these guys walking away with 4-digit paydays, even a few with 5-digit paydays. And we had Derek Kelly, Mason Simmons, an off-road guy who just happens to show up to do some gate drops at Glen Helen, makes $3,400. Another off-road guy on the beta, Dara DeMartile, Cole Timbo, Grant Harlan. If you look through the names, there's tons of household names from the 10 to 15 to 20 range at the Pro Nationals in the 250 and 450 classes, all the top privateers, top amateurs, and everybody in between. Now we'll switch over to the Pleasure Valley Pro-Am, around a $29,000 payout and a much shorter list, and at the top of it, Devin Simonson takes home the lion's share of the winnings with $7,500. He swept the 450 Pro-Am classes, winning $3,500 per moto, and got a $500 hole shot award. Not sure who got the other one. And as of now, Simonson's not even signed up to do any pro motocross. He might just be chasing money races all summer, and if he continues at this rate, he'll be making a good living. And then we had Luke Fowler, a 1-1 on Saturday for $1,000 in the 250 Pro-Am, and then a 3-2 on Sunday in the 450 class. Brought him home $4,750. Canadian Preston Masiangelo has made a ton of money up at Pleasure Valley. A decent day on Saturday, and then a 2nd in Moto 1 in the 450 class, but then an untimely DNF leaves him with $2,450. Vinny Luhovi, a Pennsylvania local, could probably buy a house just off of winnings from Pleasure Valley, but this was actually kind of a light weekend from him at $2,375. And then Tyler Stepik gets on the box on Sunday in the 450 class. Who doesn't love box? Brings home $2,000. And as you go through the list, you see some more guys that you'll see during the summer in pro motocross like Brighton Carroll, Justin Rodbell, and Cody Groves, as well as some amateurs like Jonathan Getz, Eli Gross, and Reese Wheaton. And then last, but certainly not least, in the payday department, the Reno Stadium GP $20,000 total payout, and Michael Hicks brought home half of it at $10,000, won both nights at $5,000 per main event. Austin Politelli brings home $5,000 for a 2-2. And then Brock Bennett, I love this story right here. The dude was grinding it out all weekend. Raced the Stopwatch National at Glen Helen, made $300. The 200 is a typo, and then made $1,500 going 4-4 at the Reno GP. Robbie Wageman hopped on a Stark Varg and electrocuted his way to $1,750, and then even off-road guy Austin Walton brought home $1,600. And then you had Slade Varola, I believe a few locals, Jordan Torres, Owen Bills, and then a massive local, Aaron Simino. I think he actually lists his address as Reno Stadium GP. But cool to see some guys make some money at a very local night race setup with a damn rubber band start, no choice. And now, for the first time, I'm going to share with you how much each of my individual videos made from YouTube while I was on the West Coast. And then, after I get through that, we'll go through everybody's overall winnings, we'll compare how each race stacked up against each other, and then we'll compare how Matty B and the iPhone and the YouTube stacked up to the actual gladiators, the racers that were throwing down over the weekend. First of all, I did just a little preview before the race, just talking about the payout and everything that was going to be going down on the weekend. It only made 35 bucks, but I thought it was cool because all the Glen Helen staff really liked it and I got to meet them all through that. So maybe that's an in to help me get to some more races there in the future. And it was really easy and quick to do. So I figured, why not? Then the Stopwatch National video. This one was my bread and butter, made a little over $900. And the numbers are actually still climbing because the analytics are a day behind. And I know you guys are probably thinking, wow, almost $1,000 just to film some dirt bikes. Sounds easy. Anybody could do that. Well, might want to guess again. I don't think you guys have any idea how hard I hustle for this. I run up and down the hills, all around the track to get pretty much every vantage point possible. And it's basically just passion that drives me to bring you guys the action the best way I possibly can. I've kind of had to come to accept over the years that even if I put everything I possibly have into a video, it still might not do great, as you'll see in a few of the coming examples, but in my eyes, if I don't put absolutely everything into it, then there's not as much of a chance for it to blow up, and that's kind of what this video did. It's about to crest 100,000 views, and there were some other outlets out there, no hate comms, I love them all, but their videos combined, I'm not sure even got a quarter of this amount of views, so all I'm really trying to say is it's not quite that easy. I truly believe I have more passion than pretty much anybody else out there, so I think that's what drives me to do what others won't. Next up, I had my GoPro on Derek Drake for the first moto at the Stopwatch National, and so far it's made a little over $157, but I have a deal with the people that run my GoPro. I split the YouTube revenue with them 50-50 because they're the talent, they're out there risking it. I'm just putting a camera on their head, and in reality, they're doing me a favor. Without them, I would have no video, so I just feel like that's the fair thing to do. And I'll always be a racer for the racers, no choice. Then, on Thursday at Glen Helen, same day as the Stopwatch National, I filmed all the pro practices throughout the day, did tons of hiking, tons of vantage points, and got some footage of Ombre as it made almost 350 bucks. Now we'll jump ahead to Saturday's race action, and I feel like when I go on these trips, by the time I get halfway into it, and I have a few videos out already, maybe people are already a little tired of seeing it, but this was from the 250 Pro class on Saturday, made a little bit more than $200. And then this was just a really quick video I shot of the Ducati Troy Lee design setup that'll be unveiled in Supercross next year. And I just thought this was cool. It took me like 5 minutes to video and 5 minutes to edit, made about $45. And this is what I mean when I say I grind it out equally for every video, and some do good and some don't, because this was from the 450 Pro class on Saturday, and I hustled just as much or maybe more than I did during the Stopwatch National, and this only made $100 so far compared to over $900 from the Stopwatch race. Then I had a GoPro on Dare DeMartile on Saturday for Moto 1 of 450 Pro. So far, it's made $76, and Dare was cool enough to tell me to just keep it all and to try to keep on growing the channel. And then I also got a Colt Nichols practice GoPro. I was trying to get him to race with it, but he tested it out in practice just to see how it felt. I haven't gotten up with him yet, but I'm going to ask him if he wants half. I'm not sure if he's going to be worried about 30 bucks. After making over 21 grand, Colt's a fan of the channel, so he might just want to support, but I'm going to ask him anyway, no choice. And then last but not least, I thought I was going to get some riding footage somewhere on Monday of the guys testing for Pro Motocross, but Cali is cooked, nowhere was open, so I took a trip out to Fox Raceway and did a little track preview for round 1, and so far it's up to 120 bucks, but this one just got posted the other day, so it's still climbing. And when you add all those videos up and then take out Derek Drake's cut from the GoPro, the total is just under $2,000, and for me, I'm pretty stoked with it. That was for sure one of my better trips, and I had a ton of help from ASV in getting me out there, so my overhead was at an all-time low. But I can't emphasize to you guys enough how much of a grind it really was. I was out there for I think 6 days, and it felt like 6 hours. Didn't get much sleep, spent some very long days, 18, 19-hour days, although that does include driving to and from the track. Hell, I even did some work while I was in traffic. It was a grind, but it's a grind while doing something that I absolutely love and have a ton of passion for. So in all honesty, I'm not complaining about the workload. It really makes time fly, and I enjoy it. Now, first of all, I want to compare my Thursday video performances compared to those of the racers that raced the Stopwatch National, and this first comparison is going to make me look a little bit better than the second one because my videos did a lot better on the Thursday. Now, this honestly stokes me out. Obviously, the top racers, they should make more money. They're badasses. They're taking a lot of risk. as we have Colt Nichols, 2 Jews, and Enzo Temerman making way more than I did, well deserved. But then Derek Kelly and Dylan Schwartz made a little more than me, and I'm right there in between 5th and 6th, making more than Grant Harlan, Derek DeMartile, and tons of guys that would for sure beat me had I raced. If I had raced, I think I'm for sure outside the top 15, maybe further back. I'm not very comfortable at Glen Helen, and when I'm not super comfortable, I don't like to send it, and these guys are crazy fast. I mean, even in my prime, I've never even been close to beating Grant Harlan or Roman Pape. Hell, even B-Ray or any of these guys at a national or a long moto like they had at Glen Helen. And yeah, I could for sure make a lot more money if I had the skills to pay the bills and I sacked up and sent it at these races, but I've proven I don't. Mentally, I'm not even there anymore. I want nothing to do with how fast these guys go. And now I'm at least able to make decent money, stay around the sport, and do so with little to no risk. That's my biggest thing now. I'm scared of getting hurt again. I'm tired of the medical bills, the rehab, and that whole cycle. Every time I get hurt, I feel like a drug addict that relapses and has to go back to rehab. Even towards the bottom of the top 20, I still think these guys beat me, especially at Glen Helen. I mean, I've never straight up even been close to beating Ryder Floyd, and the dude got 17th. So I may have even done all that work, all that risk, and not even gotten paid at all. So I'm pretty happy on the path that I'm on right now, and the way that I've found to still be around the races and try to still make some money. Over the last couple of years, there have definitely been a lot of times where I felt like I've been putting in too much effort for the little reward and financial benefits that I've gotten out of my YouTube, but it's finally growing, it's finally heading in the right direction, and I'm pretty damn excited about it. And one last thing, again, these numbers are actually on the low side for me. The numbers are still climbing. And then last but not least, the grand finale. How do all these races stack up against each other in the payout department, as well as Matty B with the vlog? And Colt Nichols is the obvious big winner with the $21,600. Dylan Schwartz in second with $11,500, and the Glen Helen $100,000 payout kind of dominates the top of the list, but of course the standouts from the other races like Michael Hicks with $10,000 at the Stadium GP and Devin Simonson making $7,500 at Pleasure Valley are also right there in third and fourth with Parker Ross, Enzo Temerman, 2 Jews, and the rest. And for me, the second half of my trip did not quite perform as good as the first half, and that's just how she goes. I put in just as much or more effort into the second half, and it just quite didn't pop off as I had hoped. But I'm right there, about mid-pack, a little above the halfway point in the field, and the revenue actually just updated while I've been making this video, so I'm trying to give you guys as accurate of a picture as possible. But when looking at the names that I'm around in these rankings, I feel like they're all definitely better riders than me. Probably even in my prime, but especially right now, mentally, I'm over it. Physically, I'm way too cooked, and these guys all still have the dog in them, and I do not. And the sad part about all of this is, this was a really high weekend of earnings for all of us. There's usually not this many money races, especially all on the same weekend with this big of a payout, especially not any with $100,000 on the line like Glen Helen had. But if you know where to find the races, the money is out there, and when they have big races with big money like this that bring big turnouts, that always helps me with my coverage. I can bring the same energy every time, but if there's nobody notable out there and it's not at a cool track, it's really not going to pop off. But that's all I got for today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed that little look at the Transparency National, at how much the YouTube paid on my trip. Like I said, I feel like I never see anybody share that, so maybe it'll be cool info. Or maybe you guys will just think I'm a clown for sharing it. Either way, I don't really care. I'm just out here trying to grow, no choice. But also, always cool to see how much these guys can make at these money races. They're gladiators, they deserve it, and you gotta love it. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you very much. Let me know in the comments what you think about all the info, and I'll catch you guys next time.